In 2024, the nostalgia factor for the Integrity Octane Series is at its all-time high. The first season with the Gen 4 stock cars, and for tonight's event, the old Atlanta Motor Speedway comes back into action for 200 miles in Hampton, Georgia. Welcome to the second race of the 2024 season. I'll be your host for all of tonight's action, producing and commentating. I'm David Kreutz. Welcome back to FTN for our second race of the week. The Ignite Series went to the Auto Club Speedway, another track no longer in the same sort of use, and I'll tell you that much, a fantastic event last night. A few drivers making the crossover to go for both races, and tonight, 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining on the qualifying charts with over 40 drivers registered, a bigger field than Daytona at the 1.5 mile circuit. At the top of the board right now, it looks like it's Ross Cato by 1,000th of a second. His Ford Taurus is now going to be the quickest with a 30.18, the fastest time, and Michael Larry is going to be in second with Matthew Thunort then in third. Right now, drivers are still getting their first times alone on the track. However, the practice session has been open for more than 90 minutes to this point, so a lot of drivers getting that long-term experience, which is vital at this track. Here in Atlanta, especially before the SuperSpeedway reconfiguration, track temperatures soaring into the triple digits and the rough surface with over 20 years of age give way to tire wear unlike anywhere else in the country. So drivers know that for qualifying, you got to get that one good lap if you want to have a really good chance. And right now, Eric McFarland going to be dropping it down and in. Justin Trombley going to be able to take the pole. He won last night at Auto Club and looks to be once again up in front. Michael Larry is going to drop down into pit row with Brian McFerrin going into 6th. And Cody Smith right now rounds out the top 10 in his number 18. Jacob Fife is going to be 11th place, just a few thousands off, and the Pro Powder and Paint Machine drops into pit road. The top 10 are separate by just over a tenth of a second. Nothing crazy when it comes to the intervals right now, as Brandon Kirkman goes second by 1,000th of a second himself. Actually, less than that. It's not a dead heat, but Kirkman also with a 30.14, same time as Justin Trombley. How about that for the two drivers on your provisional front row? Bobby Ross going to practice his green flag pit entry, and at number 45 will make it down and in with no trouble. It'll be Ross sitting in 15th. In addition, Alan Rawell is going to make it through. Matt Jonas right there with them, and it's Jonas, number 15, who started in the top 3 last week at Daytona, looking for a bit of a rebound race. Not able to get the result he required, and right now going to be scored 26th of the 33 drivers with a lap taken so far. Cody Griffin, who won at Daytona in the Ignite Series, still chasing the checkered flag here on Tuesday nights. He'll jump up to 14th in qualifying, with Tom Wetmore going up to 3rd on his first lap. And the expectations for Wetmore of all drivers very high. Last night in the FTF Grand National Series, finished second from the pole at Atlanta in the modern Xfinity cars, but it looks like he won't go any quicker than 3rd on this lap. Going to be minor contact invalidating his second and final lap, which looked to be quicker than his previous. Wetmore comes down the back straightaway. He'll be in 3rd for the time being. Only one other driver taking a chance, and that is Joe Yakes in the number 87. Now Joe gets on the circuit, and he'll be taken to the track for the very first time this season. The discount tire Dodge Charger gets back on the move, and we saw him last year for several racing events all throughout the Integrity Racing League, and as such, he's made his way for the first time in 2024. Just like that, he gets on the move. With 18 seconds remaining, he's going to be one of the drivers that does not get a lap in as he goes up to the high side and comes to the stripe. He'll get there for the first time, but won't be able to complete a lap, and as such, with 5 seconds remaining, qualifying has concluded, and Justin Trombley, who won last night, is on your pole here on the Tuesday Series. The qualifying concluded. It's the biggest field in Octane Series history. We saw, of course, over 30 drivers last Tuesday night. However, it's an even larger field this time around as drivers get to the track for their second practice session. Here's a look at your starting grid for the Hampton Highway 200. Justin Trombley, who was able to get that fantastic strategy call to victory last night at Auto Club, he'll be at the top of the board with the pole position. 34 machine all the way up top with a 30.14 and less than 1,000th of a second behind Brandon Kirkman. It's a dead heat for the pole position and a 30.1 1-4 for the man in that numbered 48, puts him in second, with Tom Wetmore only getting one lap, which shot him up to third on the qualifying chart. Then from there, Ross Cato is going to be scored in fourth, with Michael Laria in fifth. Matthew Thunhorse will be in sixth, and Nicholas Ward in seventh spot, with Brian McFerrin then in eighth. Chuck Sweeting is going to be ninth spot on the timing charts, with Nick Tarbuck rounding out the top 10. Tarbuck, one of the drivers who joined the session late, said he was not going to be able to make it, but it looks like he comes in strong. He'll be starting in the top 10 just ahead of Bobby Terrell. Cody Smith will be in 12th, and Garland Gidman will be 13th spot, with Cody Griffin 14th position, Jacob Fife rounding out in the top 15, and Braxton Deweese sitting in the 16th position, 0.02 of a second ahead of Bobby Ross in his number 45. It'll be Don Stevenson 18th and Kyle Cooper 19th, with Sam Nito rounding out the top 20, and Stephen Wetton 21st, Justin Morton 22nd, and Alan Rowell 23rd. Danny White's going to be in the 24th spot, with Ryan Farrell 25th. Neil Froelich is the 26th driver on the qualifying charts, and Matt Jonas, not too far behind, is 27th. It's John Steele 28th and Eric McFarland 29th, with Brian Perry rounding out the top 30, and 31st from there is going to be Chris Schetzler, with John Cars 32nd, Sean Kalis 33rd, and the last driver with the time taken is Jared Collin in the number 26, 30.764 for the man in that 26 machine, looking for a rebound himself from what was a disastrous run at Daytona, involved with an early incident and just lost the speed from there. Elliott Drummond's going to be starting 35th, with Trevor Drago 36th. It'll be Brad Patton 37th, Joe Yakes 38th, and John Pillion 39th, with Jonathan Giervon rounding out the top 40, but he does not round out the field. It'll be three more drivers: Randy Fiash 41st, Jim Fife 42nd, and Cal Filarski, a 43 car complete field with the Gen 4 stock cars. And just like that, your starting grid for the Hampton Highway 200. It's time to find out who's going to take the checkered flag. 43 possible. Only one will come home on top at the end of the night. 2 minutes remain in our warm-up session here, with Tom Wetmore, the fastest driver on the charts. And right now, he's going to be up there ahead of a total of now just over 18 drivers that have taken the time, and more still getting through each and every lap. Wetmore right now, sitting in his number 51, is going to be back with the Tube Tech team this year, and his Chevrolet, while it looks different, of course, the same driver inside the cockpit, and that's a big deal given his recent successes here at Atlanta. But a lot of drivers who we did not see last night are also looking quick once again. Ross Cato in the number 12, he's a driver who, of course, had a lot of success in 2023, adjusting to the new package, and he went through all of the Octane Series' very first races, including very tire wear heavy tracks such as Rockingham, and getting that adjustment with the tire wear in mind is a huge deal for each and every one of these drivers. The Gen 4s, though, they eat up the tires even more so. High horsepower, high speed, and the way you burn through the corners is a huge deal in regards to whether or not you stay quick or if your speed is only a fleeting glimpse in qualifying or a first few laps of a run. Nicholas Ward right now going to be scored in 14th. He finds himself there, goes up to the top side, one of the few drivers already taking it high and developing that line. Take a look on board with Ward as he goes for one final lap in this practice session. And it looks like Ward going to back it down as he goes for 1.5 laps. The practice session is over. Warm-up has concluded. And as such, it's time to get things going. Tom Wetmore, fastest in second practice. He'll be starting third tonight. And there's 134 laps on the table for every driver. By all means, this race will not be settled until at least the first half. And last night in Auto Club, if it's any indication, it took us about 60 laps to really hammer down on what the optimal strategy strategy was for every driver. But let's talk a little bit more about Atlanta here, given the time that we have. The 1.5 mile circuit looks a lot different on TVs now because a repave in 2022, courtesy of the folks at iRacing collaborating with NASCAR to design a brand new configuration. It's more of a miniature super speedway nowadays. However, before then, Atlanta was still a very fast track, and with these Gen 4 stock cars, you're going to see speeds of over 180 miles an hour. That is for certain. However, the pavement, it's as old, going back to about 1997, the former host of the Winston Cup Series finale, and it's seen its wear over several decades of use, and the bumpy characteristic is going to give way to that tire wear, as we mentioned. It's going to very unstable setup as time goes on, and with 43 drivers registered, it's going to take a lot to get away from the chaos that we might see, especially on that first start. Restarts too. Don't expect it to be safe all throughout the field. As the drivers get going once again, this time in formation for the race. And this week of Integrity Racing has one common theme: tracks that aren't quite the same. However, for Atlanta, you might have seen, of course, a bit of a positive twist on it. Atlanta Motor Speedway, as it was certainly an iconic circuit, but a lot of attention surrounding NASCAR and stock car racing as a whole following the fantastic finish with Daniel Suarez, Kyle Busch, and Ryan Blaney at the line, 7 thousandths of a second for the top three in separation. Of course, that's a monumentous step for NASCAR with the media attention they've been given. However, Atlanta Motor Speedway, as it was not only a throwback, but it was the essence of stock car racing itself as a 1.5 mile circuit. One of the many intermediates that exist, but the pavement down to the bottom of the circuit, from the apron on up, absolutely gave way to fantastic racing each and every night. Tonight, of course, for 200 miles and 134 laps, we get a glimpse of what was, and a winner that we've already seen. Justin Trombley gets to lead the field. It's the 34 on the inside and Brandon Kirkman right up top. Barney the Flagman will wave the green, and we're underway in Atlanta. Welcome back to Hampton, Georgia. Coming through the first lap, Justin Trombley remains your race leader. However, it's going to be close up in front. Tom Wetmore, Ross Cato, Michael Laria, Brandon Kirkman all keeping good company as a lapper gets back on the track. That's going to be Sean Kalis. No, Cal Filarski as he remains down on the apron. It's going to be Filarski, put one lap down immediately. He looks to be scored in about 36th right now. And as he goes by the entire field, one driver is going to be spinning in Jacob Fife, and it looks like trouble early. Do they throw the yellow? No, they don't. Fife is going to remain all the way out of the field. He's going to go down and in. Luckily, everyone gets away, but Jacob Fife loses an awful lot of time and finds himself in the back of the pack already, and he's going to be slowly but surely losing more and more time. Now he's down to 41st. Immediately after that, Filarski falls down to 43rd after the first 2.5. So just like that, Jacob Fife loses an awful lot of time. He gets it going once again, and as we keep it straight, luckily, no major problem. At the stripe, the leaders continue to battle. Brandon Kirkman up top now beginning to get that edge. And as you see him up there on the high side, he's got Ross Cato with them. And already, even though it's not a pack race tonight, the drivers and their specific lines are going to mean a big deal as the race goes on. Right now, Kirkman and the high side look to be slightly advantageous. That might be the place to go for the time being. We'll see how much longer it holds up as the drivers head back to the start-finish line. Kirkman and Ross Cato are now 1-2. Justin Trombley, Michael Laria get away nicely, and Tom Wetmore so far not going to be charging hard. And you have to wonder, guys like Wetmore, Funnels, Ward, Tarbuck, and the like, what are they going to do right now? Are they going to back off and try to save those tires? Are they still going full on? I think the question right now is how a driver like Kirkman or Cato will eventually end up saving. Feel now that for the drivers who pounced on the first 2 laps, they're already beginning to fall back and get ready for what's next. And thinking about the next step is a big deal right now. So Ward's going to jump up. He's going to be 8th. Matthew Thunor 7th. Tom Wetmore, he's looking high already and trying to make it around. Pole sitter Justin Trombley just hasn't been able to make it through just yet. As he comes down the back straightaway, he's nearly clear. Can't get it there either way. And the Tube Tech Chevrolet now runs in the second groove, tries to simmer back down. And all over again, it's going to be the 51 of Tom Wetmore leading the way with Bobby Terrell there in 4th, Brandon Kirkman in 3rd, Michael Laria in 2nd as he drops down low. It's Laria now looking for the lead and a rookie going up in front. Shades of last night at Auto Club, but just can't get it by Cato just yet. Ross Cato still looking for that first checkered flag in his Octane Series career. 2nd in the championship standings. Last year had a door-to-door, wheel-to-wheel battle for the championship. Just didn't go his way. And of course, it's got a sting knowing that he was the 2nd best man last season. But early on in this race, he's starting to get his feet wet and get to grips with Atlanta better than almost anyone else. However, the pack is still close. Double file by a large part. See it there. Brian McFerrin, Justin Morton, and Sam Nito working with each other right now. It's the Miller Lite number 2 with Don Stevenson right behind. Steven looks low, but just does not have the room, so he'll have to wait just a bit more. 20th place, Alan Rawell is running. He'll look high on Kyle Cooper, and right now, 20th, it's packed. It's a stout field, each and every driver here, most of which we've seen at least once, and those we haven't in this league alone, we've seen them elsewhere. You see Elliott Drummond right now running in 27th of the Schumacher Racing League, making only his 2nd Integrity start. Right now, he's going to be stuck 3 wide with Schetzler, and just ahead of him, Eric McFarland. Can't get around for now, so he'll have to stay in the back of the field. Sean Kalist remains in 36 with Brian Perry up in front. Even though Kalist, of course, had much success at Daytona, he's going to be back here with drivers who are, of course, still capable, but track position such a big deal that they're stuck in the rear regardless. The number 62 of Brian Perry, he's going to be in the middle of the pack right now, seeing some smoke billow, but no caution. Looks to be Eric McFarland who dropped down and in, and same goes just ahead of him there, and you can see it's also going to be Joe Yates. Both drivers slide. Nobody else is going to be able to get involved, and as such, they clean it up nicely and keep on going. Similar to Jacob Fife in that regard, but it looks like everyone gets going once again as we take our look in the back of the field. We'll take a cruise back on up. Justin Morton going to get by the smoke show here, not as visible. Right there, it's the number 11 fight with Sam Nito's 2. Working down the back straightaway, the early going has been calm for the guys up in front. Ross Cato in particular, absolutely where he wants to be. Take a look off the back end right now. We'll give you a visualization, shall we say, of what's going on in his rearview mirror and the thoughts for a driver who's already up in front. You see there, Michael Laria getting closer in that lap that we've been riding on board. Ross Cato right now still has the lead. He'll have to defend low if he wants to keep it. That first lap seemed to be a bit further out, but you see Laria making gains down to the bottom side, and that low groove working out nicely for him. He cuts it close, and it looks like he's now going to be the clear second man. He got away from Wetmore and company here. Tom makes it back up to third, and is slowly reeling in those top 2 drivers. That time by, he was at least a 1/10 of a second faster than the both of them. We mentioned how he was in the FTF Grand National Series last night, started on the pole, finished in second, and was the leading driver of all points paying eligible drivers in that field. So the man who won that race was a part-timer not eligible for points, but for Wetmore in his inaugural FTF season. He was the man who really showed them all what it takes, and he's now here back with Integrity on the Tuesdays at the same track. So I want to keep an eye on him. I want to keep, of course, my eyes peeled on Michael Laria and a rookie here who's taking the lead. A lot of drivers that we don't often see, of course, given the fact a few of them are new, but they're going to become familiar faces as 2024 goes on, and their names will be made. And a night like this is a perfect opportunity. Bobby Terrell runs in 4th right now in the all-white number 14. He's already just outside of the podium, and his race has gotten off to a blinding start. He's ahead of Kirkman, Nicholas Ward, Colin Gidman, Cody Griffin, Justin Trombley, Matthew Thunhorst. Star-studded field already. The top 10, he's more than halfway through, and he's looking to maybe get a few more as they're mostly single file coming down that back straightaway. Brian McFerrin right now going to be able to just barely get by Kyle Cooper. Cooper slides high. It'll be Brian McFerrin who gets down low, and all of a sudden he makes the fast pass and moves himself up into 16th. Up in front, you'll see there is going to be Chuck Sweeting with Nick Tarbuck, two drivers that we saw last night. Sweeting looked fast in the practice sessions, and I feel like he's got a long run car if anything else. The number 75 right now going to be running middle of the field, but perhaps not indicative of the pace that we've seen from him previously. One of those drivers who definitely comes alive later in the races, so if we keep things calm as the race goes on, I'd expect Sweeting to be fighting for a top 10 finish. He's got Braxton Ruiz once again right there with him in 12th. Allen's our images, Nancy Wetmore, and Chris DeWeese. We'll get a quick shout-outs with the yellow flag flying. John Cars looks to be one of the drivers slowing down, but the yellow flag out once again, and we're taking a look at just why. Caution is out. Back of the field, Jacob Fife goes through. Eric McFarland looks to as well, but the trouble lies in Jared Callan with some damage, and it looks like Jared alongside Cal Filarski and John Steele going to get the worst of it, although it looks like Filarski gets back on the way. John Steele, little bit of front-end damage as well, and you'll see both of which not back together. Yellow flag is out as a result. 18 laps in out of 134. That was the fight for about 37th. As such, yellow is out on the track. Jared Callan, who was 100% looking for a rebound night, once again involved with an early incident, and as such, caution flies again. Filarski's the lap machine in this instance, who should be able to get his lap right back. And the number 4, Morgan McClure Motorsport throwback, now getting a chance to get back with the leaders. Up in front right now, we'll take a look back to the top of the board. Looks like your leaders not been able to get much else done. They've not decided to go down to pit road. A few other drivers did, namely in the back of the field, John Steele, Jared Callan, Cal Filarski. We saw those three in, and now it's time for Larry and the leaders to make their way down to the bottom of the track. First big pit cycle of the day with Michael Laria leading them all in. There's Ross Cato with them and Tom Wetmore. Pit road gets busy for the first time tonight, and now time to find out who's going to have the advantage coming through. Ross Cato gets spin into the entry of his pit road stall, and so does Tom Wetmore. Contact early in this race, and it comes on pit road. That's going to cost them at least 10 positions each, and as such, we're going to see a much bit different running order. Just like that, there's troubles. Chuck Sweeting gets out first, then Michael Laria. Laria's going to get out, and he'll be just ahead. Then from there, Brandon Kirkman, Bobby Terrell, Nicholas Ward right there with them, and Cody Griffin with Sam Nito, all of which coming out right now. Ryan Farrell, the last man in the top 10, and trouble for Tom Wetmore and Ross Cato, who were running inside of the top 5 when we got down to pit road. And as such, we've got troubles on the circuit. Pit road going to give us some excitement, and Stephen Wetton scored as your leader. Wetton right now going to be looking for some track position, a driver we saw last night at Auto Club, and he said, of course, that he one of the drivers afflicted by the long green flag run. Spoke with him last night about the race, and he said that he wished he went down just 10 laps prior. He expected the caution to come out, but there never was one after the halfway point. So as such, Wetton was at a disadvantage, and he lost out on big-time track position, finished outside the top 25 as a result. So I think for Wetton tonight, it's an opportunity to maybe rebound and look for a chance to maximize that track position as opposed to going crazy with the pit stops early. So he's going to save a set, at least for now. We'll see how much longer it stays. As it stands, Don't know how it's going to work out. 21 laps at Atlanta. That is a big deal in terms of time. And his fastest lap today was a 31.153. So noticeably off the pace of the leaders. We'll see what Stephen Wetton has in store. Track position might be king. We're going to figure out whether or not that's the way to go about it. Wetton going to do something different. It is Sweeting in second. Michael Laria in third. Brandon Kirkman then in fourth. The fifth place driver going to be Bobby Terrell, with Colin Gidman there in seventh, and Cody Griffin eighth. Nicholas Ward, Matthew Thunhorst, Nick Tarbuck there, 8th, 9th, 10th. These drivers in the back of the top 10, as of course the rest of the field have gone down pit road. It's a level playing field once more, and a few drivers, of course, benefiting big time. We mentioned those that got set back. I mean, Tom Wetmore, Ross Cato in particular. Right now, Wetmore finds himself outside of the top 30. Ross Cato is going to be in 21st, and they were both inside the single digits before then. Heartbreaker, but of course, with a lot of time on the table, knowing how quick they are, I don't think they're going to be absent from the front-running spots for all of this race. It's not said and done just yet. Of course, it's a game changer early. Michael Laria going to be down low. Stephen Wetton, who is the control card here, he's going to be on the top side. Of course, he's the biggest variable in this race right now, because if he were to have some tire spin, doesn't get going too well, going to be tricky to manage exactly what he has to do on the restart and that first lap. No doubt he's going to be passed frequently, especially on this opening lap, because he's got much older tire. Are they going to take him 3 wide? Are they going to make him go down to the apron? A lot of questions here. Wetton, the driver to keep an eye out for. He is the leader on this restart with the oldest tires of all as we come through turns 3 and 4 this time by. The iRacing official pace car coming down and in this time through. It's going to be the first restart of the day at lap number 23. The opening stint gave us a little bit of action. Pit road gave us even more. And now Wetton making a very risky strategy call. Gets going, gets loose, but keeps it together. Green flags out yet again, and Michael Laria passes him like he's a jet. How about this? Stephen Wetton falling back so quickly on the top side. He's already outside of the top 15, and we just got down to the back straightaway. Michael Laria takes the lead immediately, and he got that jump on the bottom side. That was the perfect way to go about it, and as such, we've got a new race leader. How about that? Immediately, Michael Laria jumps far ahead, and he takes big advantage of Stephen Wetton dropping like a rock. He's going to be continuing to drop down. That's how big a deal it is to have that newer set of tire. He was there. He was leading just a lap ago. He is now, as it stands, not even within the top 30. How about that for Stephen Wetton? Fading back so big, he's not even going to be a blip on the radar for these drivers. And as such, new drivers up ahead. It's Colin Gidman running in 4th, Cody Griffin in 5th, Nicholas Ward in 6th, and 7th place right now is going to be Braxton Deweese. So a few drivers making big changes so far, and it looks like a few for the better. Notably, it's still going to include Colin Gidman, who's now going to be working in the back bumper of your podium sitters. Maybe Gidman's got something in store for them as he works down the back straightaway, the highest spot he's been in all night long. Colin Gidman, one of the many drivers that benefited big time as a result of that yellow flag. And for Gidman, if you want to take a look at how he started this race, he was in 13th when it all got going. So not a terrible qualifying position by all means. It wasn't anything egregious, but the mid-pack with such a competitive early start doesn't make it any easier for a driver. And right now he's in 3rd, chasing down Laria and Bobby Terrell. Rookies are going to be 1st and 2nd. Gidman in his first time campaign is there in 3rd. And the new wave goes back to 4th with Brandon Kirkman looking nice up in front. You see the mid-pack right now, Elliott Drummond and Don Stevenson going at each other. It's going to be Drummond right down low to the bottom. He will take it, and Don Stevenson right there too. 27 laps in out of 134, and Drummond drops in, takes the spot, and gets going once again. Right now, Drummond getting away from what could be another battle brewing. You see Brian McFerrin there, Justin Morton not too far behind. And here, just outside of the top 10, they're all battling for some very important spots. It's a stacked field in quantity as well as quality, and that's a huge deal because 43 drivers took to the track tonight, and as such, points are going to be spread big time. Even one incident could send you outside of the top 35 for good tonight, so you want to stay up here inside of the top 15 and top 20. That's a good run right now for many of these drivers, especially those with the rookie stripes. We're looking at Brian Perry, his very first start in the Integrity Octane Series in the number 62. He's made it onto the track and runs alongside Danny White and Sean Kalist, one of the many drivers taking to the track for the very first time this year and getting to grips with the track in the middle of the field. He's got much more room than those right ahead, so for a lot of these drivers, I think this is almost another practice session. The first 50 to 60 laps before we get to that halfway marker, expect drivers to still be actively learning as the race goes on. You're always learning as you're the driver inside of the cockpit, of course, but you can sort of take it a bit further, the relaxed perspective, as opposed to being all in all the time and looking from the bigger picture. You want to look at lap 134 as the goal, and even though you're not leading laps right now, I would be very surprised if our winner is the leader currently in Bobby Terrell. No doubt he's quick. I think right now, if you're the driver looking to get there at the end, you have to strategize for the future. You have to look at what the big picture has in store, and if you have to understand what's next, it's most likely not going to be apparent until the second half of the race, and we've only gotten through, give or take, the first quarter here. So with that being said, while these guys, Gidman, Terrell, Laria, Brandon Kirkman, are all running great, I don't think we're going to be the drivers to look out for at least until we get the first big cycle going under green, and I expect to see that green flag racing as the event goes on. You see Braxton Deweese here. He's alongside nobody for the time being, but I'm sure he wants to pull down to the inside of Nick Tarbuck here. He's right behind Nick as it stands. It's the number 4 of Tarbuck running in 8th right now, and he's trying to chase down Nicholas Ward at the same time. High side and low side both developing not equally right now, but you're seeing them both in use. As such, multi-groove racing here at Atlanta already coming into play. You want to cut that distance, you take it down to the bottom, get that momentum and keep the ball rolling. You want to stay up top. And a lot of drivers now using that second groove, that third groove, and trying something different with Brad Patton leading the way at the stripe. This is the fight for 6th. He finds himself up here and currently runs just within the confines of the top 10. However, he could be going for the top 5 within a few moments here, looking to get quicker and quicker with Cody Griffin right ahead, and the draft is going to definitely help pull him in. They're going at about 190 miles an hour before they hit the brakes and get into turn 3, and with these high speeds and the difference in the cornering speed, it's a drastic comparison. So drivers always have to be on their toes here in Atlanta, given the fact that you can be going at such a high speed. Then you back it down nearly 40 miles an hour, and all of a sudden, you're substantially slower. So keep your eyes peeled for how the drivers approach the track in that regard all night long. Right now, Colin Gidman trying to make gains, and so far, getting a bit closer. That time by, he was just 300 slower, but it looks like he's clearly making something work on the middle groove of the circuit, then drops down low, and his exit looks to be just about as good as Bobby Terrell's. At the line, it's going to be a 31.790 for Terrell. Gidman 2/100ths of a second faster, but Michael Laria also coming through at the same time, and he's the driver sitting 3rd in the mix. He's another driver who definitely wants to make gains, and as it stands, he's going to be right there on the podium looking to make something happen. Let's take a ride on board and see what it's like with the best seat in the house right now, looking at the lead battle. See Larry here slowly getting in the picture, lunging down to the bottom side. And as these two drivers who are fighting for the lead, they're really beating each other up. It gives Larry so much more time to slowly gain. He doesn't have to do anything crazy, slowly but surely making it into the picture. And you can see there the gap between Larry and your leader. It's going to be 13/100ths of a second and still closing. In addition, Cody Griffin, Brandon Kirkman, both coming up at the same time, and while not as quick, they're still within the range of 1 second here. And if anything were to happen up in front, these could be the drivers that definitely make a move and get up there for the race lead. Now it's going to be Bobby Terrell pulling again once more. Didn't look to be able to get the runoff for the previous few laps, but that's exactly what he needed, and as such, Colin Gidman going to be left just in the dust as he gets going once again. As it stands, look further back and you'll see another set of great battles. There's Matt Jonas. He'll be fighting against Brian McFerrin, and alongside him, Chris Schetzler, not to mention Justin Morton. As Morton goes up to the top side of the track, he's looking for something here, but just can't find it. 3 wide. Hasn't been attempted all too often, but you can see 3 grooves being used right there. The high side, the middle, and the low. If a driver gets comfortable enough, they can absolutely make it work, but so far, nobody has done so. We mentioned this before the caution, but once again, for those coming in, thank you for stopping by. Nancy Wetmore, Doug Middendorf, Chris DeWeese, Alan's Art Images. Great to have y'all here watching once again on FTN. This is our second race here in the Integrity Racing League this week, and to tell you this much, already shaping up to be an exciting one from start to finish. See there, Justin Morton going to be coming through on the bottom side. He's trying to work it down to the low groove here on Matt Jonas, but Jonas won't give in, and he's still going to keep that 18th spot, at least for the time being. Justin Trombley, who was the leader early on, he's down in 20th, but given how last night went, and for those who didn't watch, we'll give you a recap. I don't think that him being this far down is a sign that he's losing it. As a matter of fact, he was just about in the 20th spot during the middle of the run last night as well. It came down to our lap 65-ish caution, came in up at the halfway point, the final of the night, where Trombley made the move on pit road to get himself the lead once again, and he never relinquished that top spot, even though he was running in the mid-20s from the early laps of racing onward. From the pole, he came back and won the race. When all was said and done, he's one of those drivers that's told us before he usually benefits from the longer racing. So I think right now he's going to get in his groove, race a bit better as it all progresses. And as it stands, Trombley, one of the many, looking to keep himself in the mix. Although he isn't being flashy right now, his consistency, it does shine through. Braxton Weiss right now in one hell of a battle with Cody Smith, Matthew Thunhorst, Ross Cato, and Matthew Thunhorst, another driver here, as you mentioned, of course, Justin Trombley, who we've seen beforehand. Thunhorst came from 37th last night. He came from the bottom of the field all the way up for a fantastic hard charger event, and even though he was not able to grab the win, the podium finish when all was said and done, an especially impressive run. He's right now in 10th, looking for twin top 10s, if not more, and right now he's got Braxton DeWeese right behind him. DeWeese running solidly so far, got a podium finish at Daytona, and opened up the point standings very nicely for this 13 team, getting those halfway points, and the stage bonus was a huge deal for him. As such, he's already an early championship contender and has a points buffer going into tonight's event. So running in 11th, not half bad for him as he already looks to fight for the title. Don Stevenson going to be right now up in 13th and currently finds himself right ahead of Kyle Cooper. While Cooper is slowly but surely making his way into the frame, rest assured for Stevenson, he's got a ways to go. Atlanta, one of the tracks that seems to suit Stevenson's driving style, a more meticulous racer when all is said and done. And although we only saw it shine last year at the Charlotte Roval with his lone Octane Series victory, I feel that a track like Atlanta will really suit his strengths right now. Side by side with Cody Smith and Cooper once again, but as the race progresses here, it's going to take the thinking of a driver that really outdoes those who are going full on with brute force. Braxton Weiss going to make some contact with the wall, very close to Cody Smith. Luckily, nothing comes of it. They all make it down the back straightaway just fine. John Steele, the lapper, also there, and Braxton fades back to 14th. That could have been much, much worse. Luckily, everyone saves it, and we keep on going. 45 laps in out of 134. You can see Elliott Drummond now in the mix, and the close call luckily doesn't give way to any more trouble. Bobby Terrell and Michael Laria still fighting each other for a lead. Colin Gidman, he's faded back just a bit, but the two drivers have remained consistent as Brandon Kirkman and Cody Griffin, the twin Lowe's machines, now go side by side for third with Gidman right behind him. For Griffin and Brandon Kirkman in particular, these two drivers fighting each other from completely different ends of the points-paying spectrum. Cody Griffin, one of the drivers who's doing the double in Integrity Racing League. He's got 2 championships to look at, and Brandon Kirkman, well, he does the same. Griffin got off to a much better start, especially in the Ignite Series, but Brandon Kirkman's pace, while we've seen it before, just needs to get that execution down. Now, it's very early to say that, given the fact the season only really just started, but for the time being, this Lowe's number 48 definitely needs a night like how it's been so far. Third place, podium run, and maybe if there's something up ahead, he has a chance for the lead. Right now, sitting in the back, waiting in the wings, and watching as the battle progresses. It's a good place to be in for a driver like Kirkman. I think it's going to aid him as the night goes on, especially when it comes to strategy, which is always changing and fluctuating. Figure it out early, you'll be good to go the rest of the way. Kyle Cooper goes down to the bottom side on Cody Smith. It's the battle for 13th right now with the number 73. And Cody goes right up top, tries to keep things going. It looks like he's got momentum to stay side by side, but definitely can't get the clear as Elliott Drummond comes across the line once again. 49 laps in out of 134. Average Jams in the chat room as well. Thank you for stopping by. Great to have you here. And if you have a favorite driver, we'd love to hear from you as a chat room. Always free for any viewer here on FTM. That's one thing we'd love to mention. If you want to join the fun, be sure to subscribe to the Fireball Talks NASCAR YouTube channel, and you'll have unlimited chat room access for all of our broadcasts tonight. Matter of fact, Alexander Balderas Highline Racing League Truck Series is going on right now, and if you're not watching this broadcast only, if you're a little bit more excited about the trucks, if you want to see 2 broadcasts at once, FTN has you covered, racing all throughout the night. It's going to be for them Nashville SuperSpeedway, another track that's seen a resurgence, and of course reconfiguration. That being said, completely different for Atlanta than it is in Nashville. Thank you for stopping by, Dual OK. Great to have you here watching, and of course, great to chat room participation. If you got a favorite driver, let us know. We'll shout them out. Right now, Bobby Terrell looking up to the high side for the race lead, but Michael Laria surges low, and he looks to take this top spot for himself. The number 44 takes it to the race lead for the first time tonight, and Laria's looking good. They just put Stephen Wetton 1 lap down. Reminder, Stephen Wetton was your leader when we got this restart going. He's 1 down right now, and even though he's had trouble, he now looks to have a newer set of rubber, and he's making his way back up. Although for Wetton, I don't think he's going to be happy at all, because it seems like once again the cautions have really caught him out. He might have expected more, and it looks like he didn't choose to pit beforehand. He had to pit under green. He went at least 1 lap down. He's 2 laps down now, looking to get himself unlapped. He'll come down the back straightaway with Michael Laria, and it's going to help Laria out, as a matter of fact, because Bobby Terrell got passed first by this lapper, and while the number 10 goes right up top, looking for the room, he'll be able to clear your race leader, and as such, make it back out in front. John Pillion's the last driver on the lead lap. He's running currently in 33rd as it stands. Looks like nothing more he can do. Just waiting to perhaps be put 1 lap down. We'll see how much longer John can sustain this performance. Of course, time to spare. The number 46 machine could make some strategy calls, but I don't expect that for the time being. Lap 70, lap 75, I think that's when we're going to see drivers start coming down a pit road, as we are going to see a 50-lap stint, then a break, then a 50-lap stint again. Maybe some drivers will try to stretch it to lap 80 or 85. That's also a possibility. The reason being, if you get it to about 85 and go for a 50-lap stint from there, you'll be good to go for the rest of the race. So some drivers might be setting themselves up for the checkered flag already, which is of course good to do. And I think right now, the long term coming into the minds of some who are saving tire. Nick Tarbuck, though, he's not going to be saving an ounce as he goes down to the bottom side looking for some position. He's got Brad Patton up on the high side of him. and Matthew Thunhorse right behind. A lot of competitive drivers looking around each other, with Brandon Kirkman in 6th and Cody Griffin top 5 as well. That number 3 of Griffin got away from the other Lowe's Chevy, and it looks like for now it's going to be the blue machine that gets away from the silver. Both drivers with the same sponsor, throwing it back to the same driver. The only real difference besides the color is that number there, and you'll see Cody Griffin, he's got the blue. Brandon Kirkman's got the silver with the black accent as well. So it's going to be 2 of the Lowe's drivers running it just outside of the top 5 for Kirkman and just inside for Griffin, but they're getting a little more pressure here. And a reminder, because it does look like some drivers are now clearly faster, it's all about the way you treat the tire. Some drivers have been able to treat these tires a little more in the conservative fashion, not using them up like crazy, waiting until later going, and making sure that the longer stretches of the run, they be in a better position. However, for the time being, it looks like some other drivers who are up in front chose to be aggressive early, and now they're starting to see what happens when you go that route. It's tricky to maintain and sustain your performance as the race goes on, and as such, guys like Kirkman, guys like Griffin, now starting to lose time as Brad Patton gonna go right up top. He'll be following the lap machine of John Pillion. Not much that he can do there. He might try to take it 3 wide. He'll get backed up in a tarbuck. 2 drivers spin immediately. Yellow flag might fly, and that it does. Going down to the apron, there goes Nick Tarbuck. He'll go with Brad Patton, and the yellow flag is out, involved with the lap machine. Brad Patton and Nick Tarbuck there. The yellow flag will fly, and as such, just before your halfway marker, strategy gets shuffled all over again. Let's take a look back and find out just what happened. It was a recipe for disaster, and it looks like we saw it come to fruition. In contact there with Pillion, Patton backed off, didn't see Tarbuck, and while both drivers did straighten it on the apron, still a safety hazard, and as such, the yellow flag flies once again. Caution is out. Lapper John Pillion, Brad Patton, and Nick Tarbuck all involved in that one. And as we get back to the live feed, we'd like to thank the first ever FTN channel member, David Bell. Thank you for the subscription. For all the FTN fans out there, if you'd like to join the FTN community and become an exclusive supporter, $5 a month live on FTN, you can support us with a membership. Thank you, David, for stopping by. Great to have your immense support as we get going once again. Pit road gets busy, 58 laps in. We'd like to thank David Bell for joining the FTN members club, and as such, we'll get back to pit road drama. Last time we were on pit road, multiple drivers ended up making big contact, losing just about all of their track position, and now time to see who shuffles out where, with Michael Laria leading, Brandon Kirkman second. We'll see who gets out in front as the drivers get ready to go once again. You'll see there multiple drivers on the move. Colin Gidman looking to try to beat out Laria, but it's Michael Laria over Colin Gidman. Then from there, Bobby Terrell, Matthew Thunhorst, Nicholas Ward, Cody Griffin, Brian McFerrin, Tom Wetmore, and like Ross Cato going to be in 8th, Matthew Thunhorst 9th, Justin Tromley is in 10th. He'll round out the top 10, shuffle back as Don Stevenson makes it in. 59 laps in out of 134. Pit road gets busy, and we're back on the way. Michael Laria, your race leader, Colin Gidman in 2nd, Bobby Terrell 3rd, and Cody Griffin there in 4th. Second time drivers hit pit road tonight, and this time less eventful. Michael Laria still going to be your race leader. However, one of the drivers who definitely is set to benefit from this one, take a look back to Nicholas Ward, who is in 6th. He's been up in the outer bracket of the top 10 all night long, but he's one of the drivers that keeps things calm and consistent, usually not looking for anything flashy, and he fell back during that run. Now has an opportunity to gain time and gain spots once again. It's the number 97 running in 6th right now. The rookie Elliott Drummond is going to be in 7th here as well, and you'll see it's going to be now to the bottom side, Drummond going as we are set to line up 2 by 2 next time through. Jonathan Giervon is the number 33. He's set to get his lap back at least once. There's the number 26 of Jared Callan. You may recall that Jared was involved in a very early incident tonight. He got damage repaired. He is 20 laps down, and while his race is not necessarily over, he's going to have to definitely tough this race out. It's a night of attrition for Jared as he hopes to gain maybe a few more spots as the race. As it stands, though, he is going to be overall 43rd and last. And almost everyone is still on the racing circuit right now, 60 laps in. It's going to be a ways to go for the number 26 as we look back to your leaders once again. Nicholas Ward is scored as your overall leading man. Then from there, you see Colin Gidman, Bobby Terrell, and Cody Griffin. Looks like Ward dropped back, though, and gives it right away to Michael Laria. You see a few lap machines, though. See Girvan, and then you see former leader Stephen Wetton. Wetton wasn't able to make that strategy work out. He'll get a lap back, and Doug Middendorf, Mike Orth in the chat room, thank you for stopping by. Braxton Deweese having a pit stop that puts him back in 11th, and after the troubles that he endured, it's good for him, of course, to be right back in there inside of the confines of the top 10. So he's got a good shot to fight for it once more. Jared Callan gets stalled out up top, and Braxton with a good recovery run to pit road as set to go once again. Don Stevenson up top. He's with Matthew Thunhorst. Brandon Kirkman's in the bottom, but it'll be Cody Griffin up top as well. Then there's Colin Gidman leading on the outside line. Down low, Michael Laria, the first man on the board, the timing charts leader, and the rookie who's up in front again. Laria showing signs of great performance at Daytona and looking to back up his run there with another solid performance here in Atlanta. Early on, he's been one of the leading contenders and is set to return 61 laps in out of 134. This will be lap 62, second restart of the day. iRacing official pace car is set to drop down and into pit road and will once again be led by Laria and his company. Here we go again. Laria gonna go down and in. Colin Gidman gonna be there in second. iRacing official pace car will drop through, and the green flag is set to fly. Here we go again, getting the engines rolling. Laria with a nice jump, and the second restart is underway. Laria gets the nice jump there with Colin Gidman and Cody Griffin right behind. Good start for all the top three, and they're double file, if not triple file right now. Elliott Drummond, Bobby Terrell, Brandon Kirkman briefly three wide, and they're going to keep it wide coming into the entry of turns 1 and 2. Taking a wider angle from the remainder of the track, you'll see a bit more of how close these drivers are to each other. And you see there, Ross Cato, Elliott Drummond. It's a nice bundle here with Kyle Cooper, Bobby Ross, and Brad Patton, not to mention Chris Schetzler. Even though the leaders are absolutely going to be hammering each other up in front as it stands, Schetzler's going to find himself in number 24, working to the inside of Brad Patton. Just nothing major he can do right now. As it stands, he finds himself in the middle of the field. Trevor Trago's going to be right there battling for the 30th position. Nick Tarbuck's going to be 31st. A few drivers that were up in front with good speed earlier, 31st and on back. You'll see right now a few lappers as well. Tom Wetmore, as it stands, scored in the 35th position. He's the first driver, 1 lap down, and Stephen Wetton, who's the first driver, of course, to get his lap back. He's up in the 35th with trouble and smoke. Wetmore goes up high, and it looks like we've got multiple drivers involved. Chuck Sweeting going to make big contact. Sam Nito up and over, and the yellow flag due to fly, and there it does. Caution's out. Nito gets hit once again, and the caution is going to return to the racetrack. It's a big incident here, and it looks like the biggest of the night. Yellow flag back out on the track, and that one looks to be the big one in Atlanta. How about that? Chuck Sweeting, one of the guys who got involved primarily. Here's a look once again to what happened. 65 laps in out of 134, and just about at our halfway marker, there was a huge incident here from the middle of the field on back. You saw Chuck Sweeting gonna drop in. He gets much slower here, goes down to pit road. However, that's already by the time he's once again in control. We'll take it back 30 more seconds and find out what initially caused it, because it looked to be some mid-pack fighting, which gave way to a huge wreck. There we have it again. It's the number 75 of Chuck Sweeting we're looking at. He looks to be down on pit road, 2 laps down. He saw smoke billow, and that's where it started. Neil Froelich, Justin Morton, and Kyle Cooper. Then Sweeting got hit. Nito got through and made contact. Trevor Trago got involved as well, and so did Kyle Cooper as well. That's going to be a caution. It looks like if Tom Wetmore did not get involved in the wreck at all, he would get his lap back, so keep that in mind in regards to strategy. Wetmore, who was 1 lap down, should be the next man one lap up, as he'll be set back to lead lap as he looks to be the final driver to not get involved with that one. So much like Stephen Wetton previously, I believe Tom Wetmore should be good to go to get his lap back. We'll see what the call is here as the 51 gets back up there with Alan Rawell and the like. Yellow flag is out, 67 laps in out of 134. Michael Laria is your new race leader. Of course, he got it on the jump time and time again, and with 68 laps to go, we're just about at our halfway marker already. Laria leading the way over Colin Gidman, Cody Griffin in third, Matthew Thunhorst in fourth, Nicholas Ward then in fifth. You look back to Bobby Terrell, and he's going to be in sixth right now. It's Don Stevenson seventh, Brandon Kirkman eighth, Elliott Drummond in ninth, and then top 10 concluded by Ross Cato. We want to shine the light once again on the number 18 of Cody Smith, however, from Next Level Racing, premier partner here of the Integrity Racing League, and these broadcasts we couldn't do without the support of Next Level Racing. Since 2009, Next Level Racing has provided high-quality sim racing performance products for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best. Check out nextlevelracing.com after tonight's broadcast. We'd love to have you join the Next Level Racing family, a premier partner of the Integrity Racing League since 2023, and we'll be right back after your first Next Level Racing promotional break of the night, and we'll bring you the next run uninterrupted. 68 laps to go. You're watching the Hampton Highway 200, and we'll return after the following message. With 67 laps to go, we're going to be going double file this time by and setting up for restart number 3. Michael Laria on the bottom side and Colin Gidman up top. Cody Griffin going to be third and Matthew Thunhorst then in fourth. It'll be 65 laps to go from this point onward, and 69 laps in, Michael Laria has nicely held on to what's been overall his day to this point. However, of course, still a lot of strategy calls to be made. He's on a 10-lap stint right now. We're expecting at least one more pit stop, mandatory for every driver in the field from top to bottom. So it's not all a guarantee right now for Laria, but the track position is very good, and same goes for Colin Gidman. His best race so far in his Octane Series career, and I think he's going to be one of the drivers to watch out for, especially on this run. And when it comes to lap machines, it looks like Tom Wetmore gotten his back. Looking back to time and scoring, Tom Wetmore is on the lead lap, running in 33rd right now, so he'll be the driver that got his lap back and makes it back up with the lead lapper. So Wetmore gets the lucky dog, gets back in front, and it's going to be number 44, Michael Laria, the head of your field, as we are set to get back to the green, this time by iRacing official pace car will leave the field again, make it down a pit road, and it'll be Laria and Gidman, the front row we've seen time and time again, taking us right back to the green. Grabbing the gears and moving once more. Laria gets the jump. We're back on our way. Caution flies already, trouble in the back of the field, and you saw it there. Multiple drivers slowing down. We already are going to put ourselves under yellow. And with the caution flying, you see Elliott Drummond there with just a bit of damage. We're going to take it back and find out immediately what happened. Back-to-back cautions, and we are once again waiting to get going. Looks like a few checkups here, but we're going to find the specific cause as we look back. Instant replay on FTN, fight with Braxton Weeks and Elliott Drummond. Then it looks like another involved there, Sam Nito. And with the caution out, immediately thereafter, Danny White gets a hit too. Yellow flag is out, and Braxton Weeks looks to be involved in that one. Looks like he might have actually been the start of it. We'll find out who was the true catalyst as we take a 30-second instant replay one more time. Here we go with Braxton Deweese on the restart here. You see him working with Ross Cato. Cato's right there with Deweese. Stevenson backs up to Drummond, backs up into Deweese, and that's what sets it off. A chain reaction and a caution comes immediately after. He's going to blink out there in our frame, but Braxton Deweese, he was involved, and he was there with Drummond alongside Sam Nito. We saw Danny White. And the caution's out once again. A quick yellow, a little bit of minor damage for those involved. Nothing too crazy. And once again, pacing with Michael Laria, your race leader. A quick way to return to pacing once again. It was a very, very short distance we got going, but luckily not too much major damage for most drivers. A few drivers getting a little more of that collateral damage. We saw Sam Nito, that's the second caution he's been involved in, and once again, he went, of course, into the air. We saw him there bumping through the grass. Sam Nito's night has not been easy, especially in the past 15 laps. He's currently scored in 26th, and you see there the number 26 of Jared Callan, who still is in 43rd. Looks like all 43 drivers are still within scoring range, all within 20 laps. Jared Callan is still 20 laps down, and he's still driving. Nobody else has gone under him, so despite the troubles, this is our fourth caution of the day. Everyone is still going, and nobody has quit. Good to see, of course, drivers are fighting throughout the race, but we'll see how much longer that lasts here as we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, and we're past the halfway marker. 63 laps to go. It is Michael Laria first, with Cody Griffin getting a jump in a second, and at pass, the very brief time he had to make that work, that's all the difference, and now it's going to be Griffin with that front row track position. Saw how important it was to be on the front row. Just a few restarts ago with Stephen Wetton. If you're on the front row, you can get away from a driver who is much slower, substantially slower, of course. However, when it comes down to an instance where both drivers are relatively even, that's when it becomes harder. However, having that track position up in front is still a big deal. At Atlanta, of course, someone can spin their tires even if they have a newer set of rubber. Doesn't matter how simple it looks with the new tire, the Goodyear rubber is not perfect, and sometimes it can give out on you before you even understand what's going on. Don't expect that not to be the case tonight. There's going to be some trouble for drivers, of course, if that were to happen. But if you're on the front row, you get away from the action. Should be stay clean, and of course, if we stay green, if it's a minor mishap, it'll help you out substantially. Track position, a big deal as we're set to get going. Once again, green flag is set to fly in the air. Next time by, we will return with 60 laps to go. Going to be all up to Michael Laria once again. 60 laps to go doesn't sound like a lot of time for a good reason. It really isn't. Each of these laps is going at about half a minute. So being said, you're looking at just under half an hour when we get back going once again. Not going to be easy for these drivers to maintain their performance with these short stints, breaking them up time and time again. I feel that for Michael Laria in particular, it gives him a lot more time to scope out the scenario. He's got the race lead. He is in control, so you got the chance to step back from the racing, stay in the cockpit, of course, and start to figure out what you should do next. In regards to, of course, bigger picture, with 60 laps to go, the checkered flag is drawing near. Maybe we'll see a little bit more as the night progresses. $2 donation from David Bell. Thank you for giving us once again donations. Huge deal. Our first ever super chat. Thank you. Great job, David and FTN. It's, of course, incredible to have you here. Michael Laria leading, and we hope to give you a good show tonight, David. We appreciate the support dearly as we get going once again in Atlanta. Laria, Cody Griffin, Matthew Thunhorst, and there you see Colin Gidman, and Nicholas Ward all combine again. It's double file with 61 laps to go. We'll be coming back to green with 60 laps left. Pace cars drop in, and the rest of the field will go from there. It's going to be a fantastic final section of this race. We saw at an Auto Club last night, we went green from the second half onward. It's a different track, a few of the same drivers, but let's see how it plays out from here. 60 laps to go, this time by green flag is set to fly. Michael Laria and Cody Griffin lead us back. We're on the way for restart number 4. Michael Laria going to get that early jump. You see Cody Griffin right there with them. He's going to be in second. Matthew Thunhorst up top, trying to roll the high side as he looks for third. Top 5 is going to include Nicholas Ward as he gets just a bit further away from Bobby Terrell and Brandon Kirkman. You see Don Stevenson is going to be in the mix as well. That number 47, he's going to be just behind Kirkman, but just ahead of Ross Cato. Looking behind for Don Stevenson, there's a side-by-side battle brewing, and you definitely don't want to get yourself involved in that, trying to run away as these two drivers behind distract each other. Although Cody Smith has a very good run there and good enough to go down to the bottom side. He'll look for a pass on Don Stevenson, and it looks like he's got a very real chance of making it happen. Down low, ripping it deep, Cody Smith is going to get the jump and make it out another position. Nice job there for the number 18 to make it through, and he's now going to lunge even deeper on Brandon Kirkman. Down to the bottom side, it's going to be Kirkman keeping it on the higher groove, but Cody Smith can't go for a second consecutive pass. That's the best he's looked all night long, though, and looking stronger lap in, lap out for Cody Smith as we start to look at him making his moves. He's a driver who's come from the middle of the field and made it just slightly back up. He started in 12th tonight. Track position has been a much bigger deal, and he's in 8th right now. The biggest mover today has been Brad Patton. Patton started in 37th, and much like Matthew Thunhorst last night, from 37th on up, he's been climbing. He's now going to find himself in the 10th position, and from the back of the field on up, it's another big story because Patton, he's looking for another strong run. He had race-leading pace last night in Fontana, and he knows what it takes to get it done with this field. They're getting close, though, right ahead of him. You see Nicholas Ward making contact with Bobby Terrell. Luckily, nothing bad comes of it, but that could have been a huge, huge conundrum. However, it looks like they'll be good to keep on going. Through 1 and 2, Terrell goes up high. Nicholas Ward stays with. As such, everything stays the same up in front. You take a look, Stephen Wetton now going to be in 21st, right on board with that number 10, and you'll see from the back of the field on up, even though he made what was, in all honesty, a suboptimal call to go out without no pit stop early in the going, now he's back, and he's once again in the middle of the field and charging through. He'll be side by side with Braxton Weiss. Braxton recovering again from an incident, although this one was a caution-causing incident. He got stacked up before. He has some damage repaired and should be good to keep on going, as it looks like the front end is largely fine. He's made it up to 21st with smoke billowing once again. One driver going to be going down and in. Ross Cato looks to have trouble, so same goes for multiple drivers slowing down. Caution is not out as we're trying to find out who is involved. It looked like Cody Smith with 55 laps to go. That it was. Cody Smith, and the yellow flag will fly once again. 54 laps to go. Here's an instant replay, and we'll show you what caused it. Up in front, Terrell, Brad Patton, Cody Smith, and they all made contact. Ward going to stack up with Terrell, and then Smith got tagged into it. He glides down, makes contact, and the front end, while not destroyed, is definitely going to have the impact for the rest of the night. Bad news there for Cody Smith. He blinks out of the frame quickly, but we see him once again. Cody Smith involved with Nicholas Ward, Bobby Terrell, and the front runners give way to an incident. 54 laps to go. We are once again under pacing. All of a sudden, Brad Patton going to be up there with the likes of Cody Griffin and company. It is Griffin, your overall race leader. He got it there from Michael Laria, and all of a sudden, the number 3 might be the driver to beat. He but surely worked his way up to this point, and the winner last week on Monday night has the lead now here on the Tuesday Tour. Very, very quick yellow flag indeed, and when it comes down to that, the turn from lap to lap. One lap to be green in the middle of a long green flag run, and as such, we find ourselves now once again under caution. The difference is clear, though, as it stands. Cody Griffin's got the advantage, and he's on the track for 23 laps. Let's break down the stints right now and see who's leading what type of strategy. On the 23-lap stint, which we might as well call traditional, Cody Griffin, Michael Laria, Colin Gibbon. You're the first of 3 drivers up in front. Then you have to go back to Kyle Cooper. He is in 13th. He's on a 15-lap stint. And you see Tom Wetmore. Wetmore has had to climb up from a very, very important incident early on. The first incident, which was on pit road, a race-altering combination of contact, which got him on his pit entry. He's now up to 15th, and top 15 for the first time tonight ever since that incident in the first 10 laps. Cal Filarski's running on an 81-lap stint. If we're reading it right, he's still on the very first set of tire. So Cal Filarski's done it entirely differently, and yet he is still here up in front. So Filarski's running the oldest strategy of them all, and he is still in 16th. If that is correct, which I would say has to be a 2-stop strategy he's done, or rather a 2-tire strategy he's done, it's still impressive nonetheless. Then you look back and you'll see Joe Yakes is now going to be 22nd on a brand new set of Goodyear rubber. So he's got the newest of all of those up in front, and he's going to, of course, benefit big time here if he can start being a little more aggressive and making some passes quickly. Some drivers are still on their original tire. Some drivers are on brand new tires. It's a huge difference all throughout the field. So ever a dull moment when it comes to strategy calls tonight. Right now, though, it's Cody Griffin who has the winning call. 24 laps on this stint. I would expect that he's going to come down to pit road within the next 20 laps, make it about a 40-40 split, and he'll call it from there. So it's going to be 1 pit stop remaining for the number 3 of Cody Griffin. Unless something were to go awry for him, I think he's only got 1 scheduled stop left, and he'll have to keep that in mind as the race progresses. 1 more pit stop, and then he'll be home free. Same goes for Laria, Gidman, Funhorst, and those right behind, 1st through 11th, down to Alan Rawell. They're all in the same strategy, so I think they're all going to be working largely the same calls on pit road. See whether or not anyone tries to go for something different. Braxton Deweese made the call to go down to pit road, as we're seeing from Mike Orth. Ross Cato is going to be there with them. As we mentioned, Joe Yakes is the leading man in that entire bundle. And a few drivers just came in. Cody Smith just came back onto the circuit after 45 seconds on pit road again. Looks like some extensive damage repair, so he'll continue to get service to his car as the race progresses. Cody Smith and his Monte Carlo Chevrolet returns to the circuit now, 84 laps in. Out of 134, 51 laps to go, and we'll get back to it with only 50 left on the timing sheets. With the final 50 laps just ahead, back straightaway to go until we get going. A few cautions in a row in the last few minutes. However, still a good opportunity to get back going into a nice rhythm here. You got Cody Griffin, Michael Laria, and Colin Gidman first, second, and third. And these are the guys who have been up front for most of the night. They've been battling ever since the 30s in terms of the lap count, mid-30s and then on up. And I think they've now figured out something very nice in terms of rhythm. Cody Griffin figured it out the latest, but he's the man with the lead right now, and he's set to lead them through once again. Griffin down on the bottom side, revving it up, back and forth, and just like that, it's time to get going. iRacing official pace car gonna drop down and in. Cody Griffin gonna lead them back to the green flag. Barney's gonna wave the green, and Cody Griffin will go. That's gonna be your 5th restart of the night, and we're back on our way here from Atlanta. Cody Griffin gets that jump once more, but just take a look at Michael Laria, Colin Gidman, Brandon Kirkman. They're all keeping it honest, and you'll see now there's Matthew Funhorst going right down to the bottom side. Funhorst is going to look low, and he's now going to try to go for the taking here. He's side by side still with Brandon Kirkman as he tries to fight his way into the 4th spot. It's not done yet, and they're practically neck and neck, and as Funhorst lunges deep, it looks like he takes the spot, but only just clearing that number 48 as the caution flies once again. Yellow flag going to be out with trouble. You see Neil Froelich involved there with the 26 of Jared. Once more, Jared Callan, and the caution is out one more time. Yellow flag returns to the circuit. Let's take a look back and find out what happened here as we will take a brief instant replay. Neil Froelich among others that got involved here, so as we take our look back, we'll find out what caused it. Froelich coming across the stripe, gonna go down low, blinks out just slightly here, but going into turns 1 and 2, that's where things get dicey. You see Cody Smith involved with Jared Cars, and then the 26 of Jared Callan goes up there, so just like that, the 82 machine, the 17, the 26, and the 18 of Cody Smith, all part of the yellow flag, and just like that, we are under yellow again. .48 laps to go, once more here in Atlanta. Once again, pacing, it looks like as it stands, your scored leader is still going to be Cody Griffin. We'll take a look back up in front and see exactly what's going on. Matthew Thunhorse going to have the company of your top 5 drivers, and Griffin is right there with them. A few drivers, though, are going to be coming down a pit road, and it looks like now it's going to be an onslaught of drivers from the second half of the field. Elliott Drummond, Chris Schetzler, you'll see there. It's going to be, in addition, Alan Rawell. Looks to be Danny White as well, so pit road does get busy once more. How about that? Every driver making their way in one way or another, and now while the leaders get away, it's going to be pit road busy as the drivers looking for early strategy calls have made it through. There's a look at the drivers, including Nick Tarbuck, Bobby Terrell, not to mention Cody Smith, Don Stevenson in the mix, and as Stevenson gets out, so does Drummond, Tarbuck, Schetzler, and you also see Alan Rawell. He's going to stay on pit road right now as a few others pass him. You see Ryan Farrell went through, Stephen Wetton as well. So some drivers who are looking for the tires, they just got them in exchange for some big-time track position. One driver who's going to get, of course, a boost out of this one, you have to look throughout the field, Justin Morton in the number 11. He was able to make up some big time. We saw him involved about 3 yellows ago from this point. However, he's back within the confines of the top 15. Perhaps he's got a little bit more in the tank as it looks like he's once again returned to the top half of the field. Up in front, going to be driver, the number 3, Cody Griffin. He's got it once again at the top of the board, leading over Michael Laria. Stands, these two drivers have held each other honest for the past 4 restarts. They've been up there since that point. Darlin Gidman has been the steady third man, but he hasn't had enough time to really develop what he's got. I think he's got enough pace to maybe still challenge for the lead, but with so many cautions coming so frequently, you can't really do all too much about being that driver waiting in the mix to try to find something happen as the race goes on. It just hasn't worked out there for Laria. For Darlin Gidman, as of recent, it's been driver the number 3 that benefits the most. Cody Griffin really getting more than anyone else out of the night. And right now, he's kept it pretty calm and pretty solid up in front. 46 laps to go. We'll be set to go racing once again with Griffin up on the top of the charts. He'll be the man who leads us back with 44 remaining. Double file, the caution gets extended. It looks like a few more drivers went in for service, notably Elliott Drummond. You also see Ross Cato coming through. There's Trevor Trago, all coming around. And Trago, the number 37 up top, he's trying to find his placement. So I don't think everyone was organized for the restart. That's the cause of our extension to the caution. And we'll come back with 45 laps to go. Go again. It's going to be Cody Griffin leading the way. 1 lap to green. This time looks to be for certain. And it'll be that number 3 machine. Michael Laria there with Darlin Gidman in 3rd. Matthew Thunhorst in 4th. The top 4 still calm as ever. They're ready once again to give it all they got. iRacing official pace car with 45 laps to go, gonna give us a signal what's coming in. If the pace lights are off, it's 1 lap to green. Any other lighting, that means we're still under caution. It looks like tonight, we'll see now a total of what would be 6 restarts. That's in particular the number we're having. Cody Griffin, he's right there. Leader now for at least 3 of them. And he now finds himself once again up in front of a collected field. As it stands, we'll find out whether or not he's got anything more left. He still has to worry about pit road because he's been on this stint for 31 laps, whereas a majority of the field went down to pit road last time by. The leader of all those that went to pit road is Braxton DeWeese. He's running in 10th. If the race were to go green the rest of the way, he would look very good to keep on going and maybe come out with a win. He's got the strategy going just right for that. Cody Griffin maybe banking on a caution or two, as the caution no longer in the air. It's a green flag jump. Here we go. Griffin's got the run, and he'll take him through 1 and 2. Now it's going to be Cody Griffin, no longer side-by-side with Michael Laria. Colin Gidman's looking low, and it looks like he's had just about enough of being the third driver on the cycle. He now wants to get in the rhythm of the front row, and with that front row being so pivotal to keeping it up there, it's no wonder that Golin's now going to be looking for it as he looks to take a charge back up to the front of the board. The Hampton Highway 200 has seen its fair share of drivers up in front, but these three, Laria, Gidman, and Cody Griffin, have really shown the field what it's like to stay up there oh so consistently. One driver with trouble in Brad Patton, and it looks like we're going to have trouble brewing once more. Patton fades back big. He's going to be now dropping all the way like a rock. Nobody else gets involved, and Brad Patton brings out the yellow. Either way, safety caution, he came back up on the track, and the yellow flag is out. Brad Patton involved. Here we go again. Instant replay will show you what happened, and Brad Patton involved here, so let's see what started it with 42 laps to go. Caution is out once again. Patton gonna wiggle on his own. Looks like Wetmore in the wall, but Patton does end up wiggling. He goes up the track, ends up driving up as he does lock down the brakes, but still, caution gonna fly as a result. So Brad Patton gives way to the yellow flag. Tom Wetmore gets a bit of damage as well, and with 42 laps to go, we are once again pacing. You see there's Justin Trombley with Braxton Deweese. Braxton is the man who's made the most moves of anyone on new tires. He's up to 7th already. 42 laps to go. It looks like just about everyone's pitting. That's going to save Cody Griffin, and it's going to equalize the momentum a guy like Braxton had. Griffin, it's a saving grace, but he'll have an advantage all the same as he comes in this time by. This could be the final pit stop for every driver. Keep that in mind as well. As we see some drivers get on the way, Cody Griffin might be the one to watch to see who comes out of pit road first. Kirkman gets in. Wetmore gets in as well, and now Braxton Deweese gets moving. It looks like Braxton might be the man out first. He gets going fast, and just like that, Braxton Deweese is the lone man out of pit road immediately. Then from there, you're going to see immediately thereafter a glimpse of Cody Griffin, Michael Laria, Matthew Thunhorst, Colin Gidman, Justin Trombley, Brandon Kirkman, Kyle Cooper, Tom Wetmore, and Don Stevenson. New race leader, all the same. Sam Nito on a 12-lap-old stint, or surprisingly, Nick Tarbuck on a 6-lap-old run. He might have fallen into the perfect circumstance with 41 laps remaining. Cody Smith, one of the many drivers that went down to pit road during that run, and just like that, we're once again under caution. With 41 laps to go, we'd like to thank Next Level Racing, providing high-quality sim racing performance products for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best. Visit nextlevelracing.com after tonight's broadcast, the premier partner of the Integrity Racing League, and we owe them quite a lot when it comes to bringing these broadcasts together, and they are the exclusive sim rig partner, simulation equipment partner of the entire Integrity Racing League, and as it stands, Cody Smith representing them proudly. He finds himself scored in 30th right now, still a ways to go, and he's now in a new set of Goodyear rubber. Hopefully, be able to make some time up and get back up there in the Next Level Racing number 18. We'll be right back after the following message, courtesy of our friends at Next Level Racing. 3 laps to go. Looks like still drivers ordering themselves double file for this restart. Up in front, you take a look at who's at the top of the board, and you'll see some familiar faces here. It's going to be Sam Nito, who gets the advantage. He did not come down to pit road. He's with Joe Yakes. Nick Tarbuck, he's in third right now. And Alan Rawell, who's had a quietly solid night. The number 69 runs in fourth, so he's benefited big from the cycle. But overall, we've seen him running top 10, top 15. I think that's no fluke. Maybe Rawell is going to give us something right now. As it stands, it's the number 69, second on the second row, up top. And the bottom side led by Sam Nito, who was previously involved in multiple incidents. He's now trying to put that behind him for good reason and get ready to go once again. The Hampton Highway 200 will return to action. Sam Nito, Joe Yakes, first and second spots respectively. Green flag and a fly, and it's all in the hands of the Miller Lite machine as they go through turns 3 and 4. The field is set to get ready. Back in action once again. Keep your eyes out for who's going to lead this restart, because this could dictate the rest of the race here. Strategy being so different for guys like Nick Tarbuck and company, they might have the edge from here on out with 39 laps to go. Green flag in the front, of course. Line out for Sam Nito, and we are once again on the way. Yakes splits him 3, and with Joe having big trouble, we're back on the move with some quick chaos to get us going again. Caution's out once more. Yellow flag is out, and it's a bigger wreck than before. Jacob Fife ends up backing up to our cameras. Yellow is out once again. So let's take a look back and find out what caused it here, as the instant replay would go to show you what just gave us all this trouble. Looks like Fife is one of the many involved, and on the restart, that's where it all kicked off. We go once again. Drivers get things moving. You see Braxton Weiss ends up involved with Stephen Wetton. Jacob Fife goes down low. Bobby Terrell's involved. Brandon Kirkman is there too. You see just about everyone in the mix. Looks like the 07 of Brian McFerrin. Cody Smith slows to a crawl. Sean Kalist. And another big wreck there. This is the biggest of the night, I would think, with 37 laps to go. Unfortunately, the rhythm we had earlier on is not really with us here in the dying laps. And we're once again under caution here with 98 laps on the board. He will be able to get things going once again, but the caution is out. They're once again pacing. Sam Nito going to find himself as the race leader right now. He will drop all the way in to the inside and nearly touching the grass there on the apron, but otherwise all is well as Hampton Highway 200 gets back into motion. Hopefully by the lap 34 to go marker, which will be about lap 102. Hoping to see ourselves back by that point. Yellow flag is out again. It's going to be pace car, lights are on, so it's going to be a full-on yellow. Don't think we're going to see any shortening of the caution, as we're starting to see some troubles brew and cautions breeding cautions. The earlier stage of this race, of course, there's a few breaks in between, but now becoming a bit more and more. We saw DeWeese involved, we saw John Cars, we saw Jacob Fife, we saw Brian McFerrin, Tom Wetmore barely snuck through, Cody Smith in the mix as well. Quite a lot of drivers got involved with that wreck, and you have to look back now. We're still getting in formation. You see Trevor Trago and company getting ready, and if they get rolling with 36 remaining, maybe we'll have a chance to get going and get the run and the rhythm. But this is going to help out a guy like Sam Nito immensely here with 17 laps to go. The more yellow flags, the more likely he is to pull it all together and just maybe keep up with that race lead, which he has. Maybe one more pit stop with everyone coming down and in. One unilateral cycle, which is everyone coming in together, could be make or break. It could be Sam Nito's win then and there, but Nick Tarbuck is close, and he's on a younger pit strategy by nature. So if anything were to happen, I think perhaps it would be Nick Tarbuck who benefits the most, or Don Stevenson, or Alan Rawell. The drivers who are on a similar strategy to Tarbuck and are right behind. With 35 laps to go, got to keep an eye out for those drivers. I feel they'll be the ones to watch. Ready to get at it once again. Green flag is going to be set to fly with iRacing official pace car leading next time through. As it stands, Hampton Highway 200, Nito and company. That's the field of now. It looks like 27 on lead lap, 28. We'll get the final calculation here. There's Stephen Wetton. still on the track. He's going, and he's the 30th and final driver on the lead lap. He's going to go down to pit road again with damage, and see a sea of damaged drivers. Braxton Deweese, Brian McFerrin, Brandon Kirkman, all down and in. You see Jacob Fife there as well. A lot of drivers having a lot of troubles here. Stephen Wetton joined that list, unfortunately, as tonight's race in Atlanta taking a turn for the chaotic in the closing stages. "35 laps to go. Sam Nito still up in front. Will be coming back to the inside line, and looks like it's going. Sam Nito, Nick Tarbuck, and Don Stevenson first, second, and third, with Alan Rawell then in fourth. Joe Yakes is going to be fifth, and Cal Filarski then position number 6. Danny White is going to be the 7th spot as it stand, and Nicholas Ward in 8th, with Elliott Drummond then in 9th. Chris Schetzler rounds out the top. 101 laps in, this time by the iRacing official pace car. Lights are off. Sam Nito, Tarbuck and company are getting ready to go at it again. It'll be our 9th restart of the day. Down the back straightaway, this time through the Miller Lite number 2. Quite the troubles for this team are all of a sudden in the clear. It's been a big turn better for Sam Nito. Not a turn for the worse tonight, and for the driver who started in 20th, up in front with 34 laps remaining, the home stretch of this race is right ahead, and there's a real chance he comes out with top spot. This time through, coming again, 1 lap to green, and it'll be turns 3 and 4. iRacing official pace car dropping in, and Sam Nito going to bring us back to the green flag. 33 laps to go this time by. It's going to be Sam Nito and company rolling back in, and hopefully this time through we keep it green. Everyone keeps it going. There's a bit of a stack up, but we keep it safe. Cal Filarski wiggles high. Now rushing down the back straightaway, it's going to be Nito taking the lead by just about a quarter of a second. Don Stevenson is going to be third, right behind Nick Tarbuck. And all of a sudden, Stevenson in the best spot he's been all night long. Tarbuck grabs the paint, gets going again, and it looks like the paint groove really coming into play there for some drivers who are working down low. Right on board with Don Stevenson here. You'll see how low Nick Tarbuck takes it. He tries to rub across the paint and get that better exit because the paint gives extra grip on the track. It's a slight advantage. It's almost invisible, but it is a difference enough for Tarbuck to start gaining once again. See there the number 4 machine of Nick Tarbuck working down low. He's really digging into the bottom of the track, trying to get something going. With 32 laps to go, we'll come across again. Nito gonna lead him by, and it's like the Miller Lite machine has a gap of only 0.1 of a second. That time by, though, was just slightly quicker. Cautions out again, and it looks like the troubles persist tonight. Bobby Terrell is up and over, and he comes back on all fours. Yellow flag is out again, and it's trouble once more. Stephen Wetton got by, and we see Bobby Terrell on all fours. How about that? Another caution here, and it's another big incident as we take a look back here in Atlanta. 31 laps to go. Bobby Terrell involved in this caution with Braxton Deweese and Cody Smith right by. It was Brad Patton who kicked it off, and it looks like he gets hooked, goes backwards, ends up continuing backwards, and then he gets hit. As you see the blink there, he ends up and over with contact. Multiple drivers get around him. Cody Smith was one of which. You saw Braxton Deweese right there. And as such, yellow flag is out once again. Bobby Terrell going to get the worst of it. And one more time, we're going to take a look back. Maybe there's a bit more of the story here. Braxton Deweese got away. We'll look from his angle as he was pack. Of course, Cody Smith, Brad Patton and company. And you see as he got through, Patton got slowed down, but nothing too crazy. John Steele not with these drivers, and as everyone went by, I don't think there's much more we can see. Bobby Terrell goes up and over with 30 laps to go, and another caution here. The short stints are coming back and forth and back again as Sam Nito leads 105 laps in. 30 laps remaining here, and it's going to be Nito, Tarbuck, and Stevenson. That's the top 3. Joe Yakes made it up into 4th, and he's now just outside the podium, making some good moves here. Elliott Drummond is going to be in the top 5 for the first time tonight. Ross Cato, who of course had a trouble early, the first pit road cycle, he's now back up into 6th. And for Alan Rawell, he's running currently 7th, just about the best he's been all night long, so keep an eye out for the number 69. He's been in the top 5 consistently now for the past 20 laps. I think that he might be able to hang on the way things are going. Of course, going to benefit him. We're now coming down to the final laps of this race and seeing a little bit more of a struggle to get through each and every time around. Coming through this time by Sam Nito, your leader. Nick Tarbuck going to be in 2nd, and the 3rd spot, it's going to be all Don Stevenson. Your podium, it looks different from most of the race, but you're starting to get familiar with these drivers. And that's for good reason. Of course, 24-lap stint for Sam Nito. Nick Tarbuck is going to be in 2nd, and Don Stevenson is there in 3rd. You see Joe Yakes is in 4th, and Elliott Drummond is in 5th. The top 5 right now, a collection of drivers who are on a much different strategy. Push came to shove and fell in their favor. For the leaders beforehand, Michael Laria is going to be up into 21st. Not at all where he'd like to be. Either way, it looks like that number 44 definitely going to have to work on something here to get going in the final 28 laps. He'd have to make up almost a spot every green flag lap from here to have a chance for the win, which is improbable. Not going to be a definite impossibility, but it's not going to be easy from this point onward as Michael Laria has to find something. Jacob Fife, in addition, he's going to be there in that number 36. He, of course, going to have one of those nights that hasn't been the best. He had a few incidents previous, but he's now inside the top 20. Maybe he can get a bit more out of the car as the race progresses, but no guarantees. Sean Kalis is in 19th right now with Bobby Ross in 18th. Trevor Trago holds his own in 17th, and you see there Cal Filarski from 43rd to start this race. He's up to 15th as he did indeed miss the first lap. He went a 1 lap down immediately. 15th right now, finds himself now in the middle of the field in the heart of the pack, which has been oh so wild tonight. 28 laps to go, making it down to 27 laps remaining. It's going to be time to figure it all out once again. It'll be 26 to go on the restart this time by if we stay, of course, with the 1 lap to green signal, which it doesn't look like we will, so we'll have to wait a little bit more. Once again, it is Sam Nito, your race leader, Nick Tarbuck there in 2nd, and Don Stevenson in 3rd. And with a little bit of time that we have, we'd like to extend a special offer from our friends at iRacing Motorsport Simulations. If you want to check out iRacing for the first time, there is no better time to do so. Discounts of over 40% on signups. Check out iRacing.com. It's the best place to go. The world's leading online simulator since 2008. And we'd love to have you join the party here on iRacing.com. All of our broadcasts here on FTN come from the iRacing platform, the most realistic simulation option for multiple disciplines of racing, stock cars, open wheel, road courses, dirt tracks, and all of the above. Check out iRacing after tonight's broadcast, and we'll return after a brief message from iRacing, the world's leading online simulator since 2008.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Coming back to the field with 25 laps remaining, Sam Nito gets the jump once again, and he's got Nick Tarbuck right there behind him. First and second as it stands, but Joe Yakes on the high side is looking good as well. Both of these drivers trying to make something happen here, but they just haven't found anything on this number 2. Sam Nito all of a sudden with a clear opportunity for victory. He's just got 25 more laps to go, and of course, with the field behind him, it's not going to be easy, but defense is already in play for the man in the 2. Justin Trombley, your pole sitter, coming back late, finds himself up in his 6th right now, and even though we haven't seen him for most of the night, the man who started first, he's looking to finish first, and now he's coming down the back straightaway looking for some room. He's going to go up top on Elliott Drummond. Drummond's going to make some contact, wiggle to both of them, but no major issue. They're all going to keep it together, and despite the contact and a little bit of hesitation, it's going to be Trombley with the 5th spot now as he looks to get by both Joe Yakes and Don Stevenson. Tarbuck right behind Sam Nito this time by. They're going to be within 1/10 of a second of each other, and the closest they've been all night long. Next time by, we're going to crank it up courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com, iRacing's leading camera partner for all broadcasters and sim racing photographers alike. Check out TrackCams22.com. We'd love to have you check out their excellent product as we're going to crank it up with 22 laps to go, courtesy of TrackCams22.com. With 16 laps to go, Justin Trombley looking to sweep the week here in Integrity Racing League is now less than a tenth of a second behind, and all of a sudden it's Trombley in second, looking for the lead on Sam Nito. We saw him come through last night after spending half the race in the shadows, but he's had to wait over 100 laps to come back, and all of a sudden, there he is, working off the back bumper of Sam Nito here. He's got younger tire than everyone around him, and he's going to push Nito to his limits and hope to break him by doing just that. But there looks to be a bit of trouble. Tom Wetmore's got damage, so does Colin Gidman. It looks like no caution, but they're all substantially slower. No call for yellow on the racing circuit, but we've got trouble that might impact the rest of this race. And it doesn't look to be a caution indeed, but Wetmore among others get damage and have to get going regardless here. So it looks like they'll be able to settle down. Sam Nito's going to get a bit of a break. He's now a tenth and a half ahead, but with 15 laps to go, there is no break in sight. This is it, the final sprint to the end, and the checkered flag being so near will give Elliott Drummond inspiration. Drummond drops down to the inside to make it 3 wide for the lead. He can't handle it. Drummond drops down and loses all he has. One driver's going to spin. That's Ryan Farrell. No caution going to be called. That's a single car incident, and he's going to fade back big as we can't even catch up to him. The smoke, it's going to billow from the backstretch, but everyone gets by. Sam Nito's still going to have to fend off Justin Trombley. Trombley's going to look down to the inside line. He nearly gets there and has to send it a bit deeper. Lowers himself on the early entry. Nick Tarbuck now tries to take him even lower, and it's a race to the bottom for both drivers on Sam Nito. Nito holds himself up high, but just can't do anything else about it. Sam stays in the lead, but with a baker's dozen left, very little left to say. Now it's all about the action. You can't really overthink this from this point onward. Defense is a challenge when you're on a much older tire set. He's been in his run for 41 laps. Not at all the way he'd like it to be. And with that being said, it's going to be very, very tricky from this point onward for Sam Nito. It's not going to be simple by any means, but he tries to roll the high side to stay clear of Trombley, but coming down the back straightaway, Trombley almost got it there, just couldn't get the room on exit to make it work. Through 3 and 4 once again, Justin Trombley stays right within the mix. It's a difference of 120 thousandths of a second, and now with Trombley's onboard view, you can show how close it really is. Sam still finds himself the leader, but there is nothing he can do right now. Fending off Justin Trombley going to take a lot from him because Trombley still has a little bit left in the tank, metaphorically speaking, that he doesn't. It's the tires that are doing all the work right now, and Justin has the opportunity to lay off if he needs to, but now you'll see Nick Tarbuck goes up high, and with Nick looking up to the top side, it could be the number 4 taking the race lead for himself. Goes up top, looks for the lead. He might not do it this lap, but it's already going to be a conquest for Tarbuck to look for. And the driver who waited oh so long to get to victory lane in the Octane Series for the second time. He did so at Daytona. He's second once again. And with 10 laps to go, there's a chance to go back to back. It's now on the line, and it's looking to be closer and closer each time through. Nick Tarbuck gets by Justin Trombley, and now he's within striking distance of your race leader. With 10 laps remaining, Sam Nito is going to be there as the leading man, 125 laps in, and he's hoping to fend off the field for only 9 more laps, the final cycle to get to the end, but it's not going to be as easy as intended, of course. Everyone's going to keep on him until it's all said and done. 9 laps to go this time by. Nick Tarbuck going to work it down to the bottom groove, maybe try to send it this time, but just not enough distance. He's got to cover a bit more. Now Trombley's going to look lower. He's going to try to take third right back. It's a game of back and forth, pushing and shoving, and even Ross Cato's in the mix now. Cato finds himself there running in 4th, and he's going to be behind this single file train, maybe looking for an excuse to jump in and bring his own flair to the conversation. Trombley goes down low, tries to get the exit on Nick Tarbuck. He runs slightly up to the higher side of the track and just can't make the move. Side by side again, Nick is going to go down to the bottom. Sam Nito is going to be working it up top. They'll be neck and neck all over again. And with side by side battle, it might be Sam Nito's last lap as the leader, but that isn't all confirmed here. Tarbuck down to the bottom, and it's still Nito right up top. 8 laps to go. Make it 7 that time through, and the number 2 machine's gonna go way up high. No momentum prevailing, and it's a new race leader with 7 remaining. Nick Tarbuck, for the first time all night long, has made it through. What about the number 4? Nick Tarbuck has made it. He's in 10th. Now up to first. His qualifying spot was still in the top 10, but now a chance to go for another opportunity for a checkered flag. What a way to start the season this would be. 2023, a year of anticipation. He got the win once all of 2023, and now has a chance to do so twice in the first 2 weeks. But Trombley's gonna go down to the inside and lunge it even deeper. They go by the lapper of Bobby Terrell. No room to make the pass, and it looks like it's Trombley who has to lay off once again. 6 laps to go, and Trombley inching closer, still hasn't found his perfect opportunity. Looks like Trombley going to take a step back on this lap, saw how close he was, and now it's time to set himself up for the final stretch. 5 laps to go, and it's all about that meticulous preparation for the final mile and a half here. Trombley goes down to the bottom side yet again. The gap is 81 thousandths of a second. That's the difference for Tarbuck to, of course, keep defending, and for Trombley to keep on pushing. It's a symbol now to the bottom side that he's got to make a move sooner than later, and he'll lunge deep once again. Justin Trombley makes it down to the bottom side, looks low, tries to find the room, and he'll come up just side by side, but not enough to clear. Trevor Trago, the lapper, also there again. You'll see the 37 is coming into frame, but it doesn't look like it's going to be anything that involves the leaders, at least for now. Jared Callan also there. They're going to be running outside of the top 35, so it could be some trouble with lappers up soon. 3 laps to go. It's now going to be Tarbuck once again leading by a 10th and a half. Looks like Trombley, while keeping him honest, will have to get back onto the rear end and wait just a bit more. Waiting for that launching point to get the lead right back. Trombley's going to get by Trevor Trago. Trago gives them no harm, and the top 2 are once again double file. Trombley drops down to the bottom side. He'll take it right low. Nick Tarbuck's going to defend on the middle groove, and it'll be now only 2 laps to go here from Atlanta. Nick Tarbuck, no stranger of the photo finish, and he saw how good it got at Daytona. Just 2 thousandths of a second at the line at the World Center of Racing, and we have the chance, of course, to go for once again another iconic finish with 2 drivers running into the wind. Sam Nito and Ross Cato fight each other for third further on in the background, but we're now coming down to the final lap. White flag would mean this race is official and there's no turning back. Trombley on the quarter panel once again. He's looking closer and closer, and with 1 lap to go, the white flag's out here in Atlanta. Trombley's got that spot in second, of course. He stays on the quarter panel, lies back, and follows Tarbuck right into turns 1 and 2. Working down the back straightaway. He's got a big run here, and it's a do-or-die moment. Trombley has to send into turn 3 for any opportunity, and that he will. Lunging it deep, taking it side by side with Nick Tarbuck. Nick's got no choice but to defend right up top. He'll come through turn 4 with the momentum, and with the checkered flag flying, Nick Tarbuck is already back in victory lane. The number 4 gets it done again. Trombley with 2 podiums in 2 nights, and while it wasn't as close a finish as anticipated, Tarbuck's masterclass of defense pays off, and the number 4 returns to the Octane Series of victory lane. Have a day, Nick Tarbuck, once again back on top. And it's clear already, Nick Tarbuck, one of the drivers to watch this season, he's back on top. For a driver who waited oh so long to find a victory lane, it looks like the drought has been snapped, and it's never coming back for this number 4. Checkered flag flies, and Nick Tarbuck will burn down the house. And taking the burnout with them on a final ride across Atlanta, Nick Tarbuck going to continue his celebration, the smoke show billowing from the back end of that number 4, and for good reason. What a race that was. Celebration, of course, a good cause right there with it. Victory lane couldn't be all too much sweeter as Nick Tarbuck will park his number 4 and finish off a night of racing here in Atlanta. Take a look at your overall results with Nick Tarbuck winning by 1/10 of a second over Justin Trombley there, runner-up driver. Then going to be Sam Nito in 3rd, Ross Cato in 4th, Elliott Drummond then in 5th. Don Stevenson comes home 6th with Michael Laria 7th, Jacob Fife 8th, Joe Yakes 9th, and Kyle Cooper then in 10th. 11th place is going to be held by Chris Schetzler with Cody Smith 12th, Justin Morton 13th, and Bobby Ross 14th. And Alan Rawell rounds out the top 15. It'll be Brian Perry then 16th and Randy Fiash in 17th. Colin Gibbons 18th, Eric McFarland is 19th, and Tom Wetmore is 20th, with 21st then being Danny White, Cody Griffin 22nd, and Matthew Thunors 20th. Stephen Wetton comes home 24th with Matt Jonas 25th, and the final driver on the lead lap, Cal Filarski 26th. Bobby Terrell, Brad Patton, John Cars, and Neil Froelich make up the top 30, and from there it's Braxton Weiss 31st, Ryan Farrell is going to be 32nd, 33rd, then from there is going to be 97. Nicholas Ward, Trevor Trago's 34th, Jonathan Giervon is 35th, John Steele 36th, Sean Kalis 37th, and John Pillion 38th, with Jared Callan 39th, Brian McFerrin in 40th, Brandon Kirkman 41st, Chuck Sweeting 42nd, and Jim Fife rounding out the field at the end of 134 action-packed laps. Nick Tarbuck tonight had to work for that one, no doubt. And at the end of the day, the number 4 comes through on top. Driver, of course, who's waited oh so long for success like this, reaping the rewards when it matters the most early in the season, building up that points cushion, Nick Tarbuck. How about that number 4? We're going to get him in right now and get a word from our race-winning driver as Tarbuck collects the victory. Strategy fell into your hands with those final yellow flags, and the defense from there, that was all you. Nick Tarbuck, the checkered flag is yours again, and it looks like a great start to 2024. Defense with Justin Trombley till the last lap, and you pulled it off, and then some. How's it feel to already have such success here with Atlanta under your belt?
Hey, man, yeah, thanks. It's actually really comforting. I mean, I'm feeling pretty rough tonight, so I almost didn't show up, but I guess it's a good thing I did. Yeah, it's good to have a nice win on a track that's actually a driver's track as opposed to just a super speedway. So really glad to, have a decent race up front. I know the end of the race there was a little bit iffy with the latter half of it being run under yellow a lot, but we had a good race, made our way through the pack, and ended up winning the thing, man. I can't complain at all.
And you mentioned it a few minutes before the race got going. You got in the practice session and turned a few laps, and you already had a top 10 starting spot from there, even with the minimal practice. However, with 134 laps, that's always a different story. So what was it like collecting yourself and getting going for the long haul, knowing, of course, Atlanta is never easy no matter what circumstance?
Yeah, it was interesting. I was really going to commit to the bottom line there, try to pull the Harvick bottom feeder line at Atlanta, and it worked for keeping the tires relatively happy, but I noticed that once the car got on the outside, they had such an advantage. So that's the strategy I used the rest of the race, is just keeping my car as high as I could. And if somebody tried to pass me low, I had to pinch them down as much as I could without ruining my momentum off the corner. So it was really a long, like 120 laps of learning how to race and then applying that in the last run we had there. So yeah, definitely a long mental game, but patience paid off.
And everything came down to that final stretch, as you mentioned. What was it like defending with just a bit older tires? You didn't have the tire advantage there, a 46-lap stint till the end. So what was it like working through that and still coming through with the defense to, of course, fend off Trombley, pass Sam Nito, and keep everyone else at bay?
Yeah, it was definitely on edge, man. If I had pressed the throttle a little bit too hard, I could feel it just wanting to spin, and I had to really control myself and really focus on just not pressing the gas too hard. But yeah, trying to pull back on Justin when he had newer tires, I'm not really sure. Maybe he burnt his stuff up trying to race Sam a bit. Part of my, I guess, strategy was to let them race it out because I knew that Sam was a bit older tires and Justin was on a bit newer tires. So luckily that racing in front of me did happen, and I guess just the way it played out and the way that the tires were burnt, mine were a little bit fresher at the end of all the battling. So luckily that ended up in my favor.
Everything works out once again. This number 4 team off to a hot start this season, and we're seeing the benefits, of course. The Gen 4 car seems to be suiting you nicely to this point. Up next on the schedule, we're looking at something, of course, it's going to be different, and up next specifically, it's going to be Las Vegas. So back to the more typical mile and a half, not as much wear on the surface. It's going to be more traditional in that sense, so maybe a bit simpler, but you think there's a chance to keep this fantastic stretch going?
Yeah, I hope so, man. It's going to take some luck. I know we had a lot of good drivers get caught up in some accidents today. So a lot of the guys that would be running up front didn't have a chance to. But hopefully, I can keep clean enough, and we can have a good race next week. And hopefully, another top 5 or a win would be great.
Hoping to keep up with the checkered flags. Nick Tarba collecting again here in Atlanta, winning the Hampton Highway 200. Anyone else you'd like to thank after tonight's race?
Oh, yeah. I want to thank Admin's putting on a good race. You for broadcasting, as always. The boys back home watching, the parents watching. And yeah, thanks for everybody who was racing pretty clean tonight, at least up front.
Just like that, Nick Tarbuck pulls through with the victory here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We thank you for your time.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Nick Tarbuck on the move. Sam Nito, the next man to speak to. Unfortunately, doesn't look like Trombley's available for comment, at least for now. But once again, Trombley put on the show. I said it before, when we got things going tonight, he came back late. That was the end goal when it mattered the most, returning up in front. And like that, Justin Trombley comes home with a second place finish. If he's available for comment later, we'll be sure to get him in. With that being said, time to move. Second place finisher in the later going. We'll get Sam Nito here with us right now. Give us a bit of a second. Can't get a good grasp on him. Trying to drag him down, and it looks like we're giving some pushback. However, it looks like we'll get the number 2 with us right about now. Third place run, and the strategy flipped on its head in those final 50 laps. You're one of the main beneficiaries, and as such, it's a podium finish in a night where you were involved airborne in multiple cautions, that is. It was troublesome, but you got there at the end, and the result ends up quite good for the number 2 team. What's it like with a podium here at Atlanta?
Well, it's a bunch of luck, really. My car was beat all to hell. Poor little gal. She's not going to see the racetrack again. I think that chassis's is retired. But yeah, I just cycled to the front and was able to hold my track position. Unfortunately, I was in a little bit of tire deficit. I think 3 green flag laps to Nick, and I think the other fella, I can't remember his name. I think he had pitted. He had quite a bit fresher on that. I could be wrong, but yeah, I just tried to block the top and maximize the run off, and I thought I had a chance to hold them off, but at that point I was going too hard, and they had more at the end there. So,
and the difference between tires was the make or break thing all night long. But I think for this campaign, the number 2, it all came down to when those cautions came out. We ended up going for a slightly longer stretch at the end to finish the race off, but it all came down to the call to stay out on the most important caution with about 60 odd, or rather 50 laps to go. You're one of the drivers that benefited from staying out there in what was only a 12-lap stint. Little did you know it would carry you just about the rest of the way here. What was the reasoning behind that call? Because it seems like that was the big difference.
well, I'd only pitted a couple 5 laps, I think, before the rash of caution started. So I cycled to the front, and I was short on fuel. So I figured, we weren't going to be done wrecking. So I would just run for a while and then come get tires and fuel and I don't know how many laps, maybe 10 or 20 on the tires, but we just kept wrecking and wrecking and wrecking. And by that time I had saved enough to make it to the end. So that's what happened. And that's how I stayed up front. I mean, if I had gotten back in the pack, there's no way I could have made no way back forward, but being up there, having clean air and having the top, making those guys pass me on the bottom is ultimately how I stayed there.
Clean air was king tonight, kept you up there in the very end, and a podium finish as a result would bring this team with some momentum into Las Vegas. It's another mile and a half, but of course, different in its characteristics. And there's a chance to maybe keep up with the good running.
I don't know. I'm not good in these cars. I think Tom was, I say it every week. Tom was making fun of me because I say it every week, but I'm not good in these cars. I don't know how I'll run in Vegas. I'll give it hell. That's all I can do.
Looking for the best effort possible once again tonight. It worked out just fine for the two team. A third place finish, Sam. If there's anyone else you'd like to shout out, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. Thank Jacob putting on the league. Also, sorry, Jacob, for wrecking him earlier in the race. And I think that's it. And whoever's trading paint I stole, thank you.
Just like that, Sam Nito gets it done with a third place finish here from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. Thank you for your time.
All right, thanks.
And unfortunately, no comment from Justin Trombley tonight. Doesn't look to be available. With that being said, though, your podium goes as follows. Sam Nito, third. Justin Trombley in second. And Nick Tarbuck, the man who gets it done in victory lane tonight from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. How about that? To put it simply, it all came down to a caution that flipped the field on its head, and it gave way to that number 4 getting a good shot to win. Justin Trombley, as it was last night, came back late, but couldn't fulfill it and go for a race win once more. So a bit of a different circumstance in that regard, but either way, what a race it was. As we look overhead from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, we thank you for watching tonight's presentation of the Integrity Ignite Series and the Octane Series, if you watch them back-to-back, of course. Tonight was specifically the Octane Series, and our week of racing with the Integrity Racing League is done. However, we'll be back next week as we're going to see Las Vegas in the Octane Series and the Circuit of the Americas on Monday night in the Ignite Series. Be sure to check out both of which same time, same place, exclusively on FTN. I've been David Kreutz, commentating and producing tonight's event all throughout the action for all 134 laps. And if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, and if you want, join with the membership button. We'd love to have you as an exclusive partner of the FTN community. Thank y'all for stopping by and watching the Hampton Highway 200. We hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation. Love to see you all whenever we're live again on FTN.